An underrated Amtrak train, one of the most historically significant railway lines in the US, and our first time trying out Amtrak's Roomette product, including onboard showers and complimentary food. All this and so much more as we spend the next 16 hours aboard the Capital Limited on a 700-mile journey from Washington, D.C. to the suburbs of Chicago. Welcome to another Trains Are Awesome video. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new Trains Are Awesome video. I'm Tom. We've got another trip report for you today, and I'm so excited about this one. I am standing in front of Washington Union Station here in Washington, D.C., and we're about to ride Amtrak's Capital Limited train. The Capital Limited runs from Washington, D.C. to Chicago. We're riding it until South Bend, but I've been wanting to ride this train for a really long time. It's got a cool history, lots of other great stuff. But without further ado, first, let's check out Washington Union Station. Washington Union Station opened in 1908 to consolidate rail service into the city. The biggest attraction here is the beautiful main hall, but the station has much more to offer. In the second hall, there are 2 floors of shops, as well as a food court in the basement. Here you will also find Amtrak ticket desks, which feature one of my favorite things about this station. Pay attention to the little Amtrak train as we walk past the desk. As you can see, it moves with us. Trains board from the boarding gates, which is the least pleasant part of the station. But is scheduled for a major upgrade in the coming years, the area today is very cramped, particularly when a busy regional train is boarding. But we don't have to worry about any of that today, since our journey starts here in the Metropolitan Lounge. An attendant checks your ticket before allowing you to access the lounge. Inside, we see a windowless but otherwise decently comfortable waiting area. It pales in comparison to the beautiful lounges in stations like New York, but still, it has everything you could need for a short while. There are plenty of comfortable seating options and a variety of snack and drink options, all of which are completely free. So you may be wondering, how did Tom get into the Metropolitan Lounge? Well, if you look at my channel, the very top line says, always riding Amtrak in coach. I've done a lot of long distance trips on coach, and I wrote that because a lot of people look for coach videos, but usually they only find sleeper videos. I was like, hey, I'm the coach guy. I booked this trip in coach too. It was $170 for 2 people, so about $85 per person. But whenever you take an Amtrak trip in coach, they send you an email a few days before saying, do you want to bid up? You can bid a certain amount of money and then maybe upgrade if they honor it. So that's how I've gotten like a $5 business class seat before. Well, I put in the lowest bid possible, $130 for 2 people, just for the heck of it, why not? Yesterday morning we woke up and they had said, your bid has been accepted, you have been upgraded to a roomette. I'm so excited. This is my very first time trying an Amtrak sleeper product. And the Metropolitan Lounge, that is just one of the perks. Here in the lounge, I got a text from my travel companion saying that she had arrived. Let's go meet her at the door. Glad you made it.
Me too.
How do you like the lounge?
It's very quiet, which is really nice as compared to the chaos that is outside of here. Usually don't mind that, but if I can sit in here, it's kind of nice, especially after coming from work. So it's nice. A lot of good assortment of snacks. I appreciate the water and soda option. And it's just nice to sit in a more calm area and actually have good seating to wait for your train instead of standing out there in the middle of the hallway.
Speaking of the train, are you excited?
I'm so excited.
As sleeper car passengers, we get priority boarding. Amtrak staff leads us to a low-level platform where a tall rake of Superliner cars is waiting to take us to the Midwest. Superliners are fully double-decker, with the walkway between the cars located on the top level. They're a rare sight in this part of the United States, and even the Capital Limited might soon stop using them. But to find out more about that, click on the link above.
think we're on that side.
We soon find our pre-designated room for this trip, room number 20.
Room number 20. It's so small and cozy.
A roomette is a compact little room that functions as a seating area by day and has 2 beds at night. You have 2 wide seats that can become a bed plus a retractable upper bunk. The room comes equipped with certain essentials like towels. There are reading lights, you can control the temperature inside, and there's plenty of storage space.
That seemed like...
It even has a thing for you to play checkers. You see that?
Whoa. It's exactly what I want to be doing for the next 16 hours.
I hate checkers.
Soon, our sleeping car attendant came to introduce himself and to take our order for dinner.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
My name's Nick. I'll be your attendant.
Okay.
Are you guys getting dinner tonight?
Yes, please.
You know what you want?
I would like the chicken parmesan, please.
Chicken parm, and for you, sir.
Can I have the Asian barbecue glazed salmon, please?
Okay. Anything to drink?
I'd like a ginger ale, please.
Ginger ale.
I'll just do a water for now.
Water, sparkling or regular?
Regular is good, thank you.
And you want the food delivered, or are you guys gonna go back there?
We'd like dinner in the dining car, please.
Okay, so I can do 5:30, 6, 6:30, or 7.
Let's do 7, please.
7. So we're in a 7. You're just gonna go 2 cars back and look for your room number on the bag, and then the food will be in the bag when you go up there.
Okay.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you aboard Amtrak's train number 29, the Capital Limited, westbound train about to Chicago, making our intermediate stops in between. We do like to thank your passengers for helping us maintain this train is a smoke-free environment.
All right, so as we pull out, your first thoughts on the roomette?
It's just so nice. Like, it just feels like very personal, and it's just nice to have your own space. The very tall ceilings, like you don't have the luggage racks right above your head. You can kind of spread out your stuff more, and it's just nice to have like seats with the person you're traveling with. You don't have to talk to other random people sometimes, even though that is very fun.
We leave the capital behind us on our 700-mile, 1,100-kilometer trip to South Bend, Indiana. It's scheduled to take 16 hours. After we get off, the train will continue another 80 miles for the last hour and a half to Chicago.
So we're leaving the Northeast Corridor behind us. We're now on the CSX Metropolitan subdivision, which is shared with the Mark Brunswick line all the way to Martinsburg, West Virginia. You know, I have to agree with Lindsay. Having a roomette is really nice. I am very pro coach. I think that coach is an awesome way to travel on Amtrak on a budget. Super comfortable seats. On the western routes, you get the observation car, which makes it very worth it. For this train, since there is no observation car, honestly, I'm happy we got this room. But then again, we've been on this train for less than 5 minutes. Let's spend the night and then we'll see how we feel. A woman who not only knows what locomotive is up front, but who also got a Cinnabon. An actual treasure.
Crossing over the border from the District of Columbia into Maryland, we run alongside the Washington Metro's Red Line. The CSX Metropolitan subdivision opened in 1873, built by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. I'll tell you more about them in just a little bit. A lot more, actually. These tracks are also used by MARC commuter trains on their Brunswick Line service. MARC trains make significantly more stops than we do. Our first stop is Rockville, Maryland, an important suburb of D.C. and the county seat of Montgomery County. A significant number of people get on here, though not nearly as many as at Washington Union Station. Did you know that the Capital Limited did not exist when Amtrak first started? Amtrak began running trains in 1971, but they wouldn't add the Capital Limited to their roster until 1981, a full decade later. In 1976, Amtrak began running their Shenandoah service, which used the tracks we are currently on. It ran from Washington, D.C. to Cincinnati, Ohio. The Shenandoah was kind of hated by Amtrak and politicians alike. It received low ridership, so in 1981, they replaced it with the Capital Limited. However, the route was significantly different from the current Capital Limited. After Alliance, Ohio, the train took a route through Fort Wayne and Valparaiso, Indiana. But in 1990, it switched to a route via Cleveland and Toledo instead. And that's the route that it follows today.
That's what I do every Friday. I make a binder. Even made him a cup. I'm gonna be so excited to sleep on the bunk.
We have reached Point of Rocks, Maryland. There's a MARC station here, but more importantly, this is where we reach a junction with the CSX Old Main Line subdivision. For the next few miles, we will be running on some of the oldest tracks in the entire country. The history of this line, and in fact the history of the Capital Limited, is tied to the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. If you enjoy playing Monopoly, well, first of all, congrats on being a very different person from me, but also you'll probably recognize the name Baltimore and Ohio. And if you've ever had Deer Park bottled water, well, you can thank the B&O for that too. It all started in Baltimore in the 1820s. Back then, Baltimore was already an important harbor city, but that status was being threatened. See, the key to survival back then was trading with the Midwest. New York City was benefiting from the construction of the Erie Canal to do just that. Without their own way to ship goods from the Midwest, Baltimore would lose all their business to other cities. So they took a gamble on railroads, and it worked out. The Baltimore and Ohio was chartered in 1827, and the first section opened in 1830. Though other railroads had been chartered first, this was the first railroad in the United States to ever open. How cool is that? By 1835, they also had a branch from Baltimore to Washington, D.C., which is the current MARC-Camden line. And by 1853, they reached the Ohio River at Wheeling in what was then Virginia.
Harpers, Ferry, West Virginia. Harpers, Ferry is your stop. Please take a moment to collect all your personal belongings. Then make your way downstairs to where you see a member of our crew. Harpers, Ferry, West Virginia, coming up.
But the Civil War was looming, and whether they wanted to or not, the B&O ended up playing a significant role in this conflict. For example, we are now crossing the Potomac River into Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Except, back before the Civil War, this was still Virginia. And Virginia was a state that allowed slavery. In October of 1859, an abolitionist by the name of John Brown led a raid on an armory here by the station. The raid included Brown boarding a train and holding it hostage for several hours. Ultimately, John Brown's raid was foiled within days by federal troops, but this event is widely regarded as a preview of the Civil War.
Our in-house Amtrak animal spotter has done it again.
Yes.
The B&O ended up undeniably involved in the Civil War. The owners of the railroad were pro-Union, so at first they were able to transport goods and troops from Washington, D.C. to points north. That's why the Southern armies destroyed the tracks and bridges at several locations. And the B&O couldn't really rely on their allies in D.C. to fix things. The Secretary of War was more interested in preserving one of their main rivals, of which he owned several stocks. The government thus literally let the B&O burn while they protected other railroads around Maryland. But after the war, the B&O made big strides. In the last few decades of the 19th century, they completed many impressive projects, like the Metropolitan subdivision and a line all the way to Chicago. Initially, they had been blocked from building in the state of Pennsylvania, which is why the main line takes this route through Maryland and West Virginia in the first place. But having finally gained access to the Keystone State, they were able to complete a line through Pittsburgh to Chicago.
All right, Martinsburg, West Virginia, about 2 hours into the trip.
I had no idea the building was so nice here. Now we've done the whole Mark Brunswick line basically, so I guess I'll never have to make a video about that.
Don't worry, I'm just kidding.
Oh look, there's like a little groundhog or something. You see him?
Yeah.
That looks like a beaver. He got a beaver tail. Cute. There's water right there. It's probably a beaver. I love animals.
We sit back and thoroughly enjoy the views from our comfortable roomette seats. The Capitol Limited isn't really known for its scenic views. Sure, compared to the famous routes like the California Zephyr or the Empire Builder, these views aren't as impressive. But I still think it's scenic nonetheless, and it's a scenery that goes unmentioned too much in my opinion. What I'm trying to say is, don't let people tell you that you won't have any good views on this train. Speaking of views, why not enjoy some while we eat? It's 7 o'clock and we have dinner reservations. Well, sort of.
Why are you putting your shoes on?
Time for dinner.
We head to the dining car located in the middle of our train for our flex dining experience. When you travel out west or down to Florida, a waiter will take your order and then a chef will prepare a delicious gourmet meal. On the Capitol Limited and most other overnight trains here in the eastern United States, we have no such luck.
Yeah.
A bag with our microwave dinners is waiting for us at a table. The good thing is, both dinner and breakfast tomorrow morning are completely covered in our sleeper car fare, so we're not paying any extra.
Thank you.
Who's yours? I think.
It's like all individually wrapped.
I guess.
So apparently my meal was under hers. So some of this stuff must be yours then.
I think it's just like a salad in a bowl.
Okay.
Looks what it looks like.
I opted for the barbecue glazed salmon with shiitake mushrooms, which I have to say tasted pretty decent. Lindsay was not a huge fan of her nuke box pasta, and the butter was pre-melted. But honestly, though the quality of the food really can and should be better, I still can't think of anything more enjoyable than eating in a dining car on a train. There's the atmosphere of other passengers enjoying their trip, and I just love having a meal while the beautiful landscapes roll by. In this case, West Virginia, or Maryland, or West Virginia. See, we're at an interesting part of the route's topography. Here, the Potomac forms the border between Maryland and West Virginia. But the river is very twisty here, as rivers tend to do sometimes. So at one point we cross over it, and then a few hundred feet later we cross over it again. Which, yes, means that we cross from West Virginia into Maryland for a minute or so, and then back into West Virginia. Pretty cool, right? Before we settle into our room for the evening, let me give you a quick tour of our specific car. It's a superliner car, yes, but it's actually a very rare kind of superliner known as a transition sleeper, or a transdorm. Superliner cars connect to each other on the upper level, but most of Amtrak's other stock has gangways at a normal height, so the transdorm has one high door on one end and one low door on the other. This way you can walk to the next car even if it's lower than a superliner. In our case, that's the baggage car. The Transdorm has other quirks that set it apart from regular superliner cars, like a shower on the top floor and a dedicated lounge for the crew. But I'm planning to make a separate video all about the Transition Sleeper in the future, so subscribe to Trains Are Awesome so you don't miss it. There are a few other ways to support the channel too. You can find us on Instagram, where we often post real-time updates of where in the world we're traveling right now. Our Patreon features behind-the-scenes information about filming these videos, and at the Trains Are Awesome store, you can buy train-themed merch, all designed by yours truly.
Welcome back.
Let's talk about dinner.
Sounds good. What did you think about your food?
Honestly, all the hate I saw online for the flex dining, I was expecting worse. My salmon and the shiitake mushrooms and stuff actually tasted pretty good for a microwave meal. Like, I would never pay full sleeping car price, eat microwave food, and be happy about it. But for the price we paid, I can't complain too much.
I agree. I had the chicken parmesan, and it was pretty good. Chicken was a little bit overcooked. Noodles were a little bit crunchy sometimes, but what can we say? We love Amtrak.
The sun is going down, and we will soon arrive at Cumberland, Maryland. We've officially left West Virginia behind us for good, and in a little bit, we'll ask our sleeper attendant to make our beds for us. So, the Amtrak Capital Limited debuted in 1981, but this is not the original Cap. No, the original Capital Limited was the flagship train of the Baltimore and Ohio, beginning in 1923. It began as a steam-hauled train and actually originated in New York Penn Station. It took the Pennsylvania Railroad's track until Newark, New Jersey, then taking both Lehigh Valley and Reading Railroad tracks until Philly. From there, it was B&O all the way, stopping in Baltimore, Washington, and then heading west to Chicago. However, the Pennsy booted them off their line in 1926, so from then on, trains took the Jersey Central all the way to Communipaw Terminal in Jersey City. The B&O ran buses to connect Jersey City to Manhattan.
Stop. Please take this time to gather your belongings. Make your way to the lower level of the accommodation you are seated in for Cumberland, Maryland.
That
a couple of things going to happen here,
is a
folks.
statement.
First off, we're going to change out our engineer.
Right, it's brownie time. I have heard good things about the brownies. Sustainable Peruvian chocolates. Once again, like, it's prepackaged, not homemade, but considering that, it's good.
1025, 1020 will be Connellsville, Pennsylvania next.
Now, because of the detour through Washington, it meant that the Capital Limited couldn't compete time-wise with competing railroads like the New York Central or Pennsylvania Railroad. New York to Chicago was simply a longer journey on the B&O. So the Capital Limited instead competed in elegance and luxury. In the 1930s, the B&O became the first railroad to provide air conditioning on board. Also on board the Capital Limited, which became a diesel-hauled train in 1938, passengers could get their hair cut, their nails done, get messages typed up. In the diner, they could enjoy the finest Maryland seafood. The Capital Limited stood for luxury, and it was the train of choice for politicians and businessmen heading to the Midwest. There were even through cars all the way to LA. If you think about it, the Capital Limited today is kind of a letdown compared to what it once was. But like all great American passenger trains, the Capital Limited just didn't last. In the face of competition from airplanes and cars, the fact that the train carried mail was the only thing that kept it somewhat lucrative. But the post office canceled their contract with the B&O in 1967, and when it became apparent that Amtrak would be created to take over passenger service, plans were made to end the service entirely. April 29, 1971 was the last day that the Capital Limited ever ran. Well, until 1981, of course. The Amtrak Capital Limited follows the same route as the original Capital Limited until Pittsburgh, but from Pittsburgh it uses tracks that used to belong to the Pennsylvania Railroad, the B&O's former arch rival. This is why, for example, it now serves Cleveland, Toledo, and South Bend, cities that the original Cap never served. Today, all the former B&O tracks that this train uses are owned by freight company CSX, while the former Pennsy tracks are owned by Norfolk Southern. Well, we just found the last passenger's trash, so we're gonna get rid of that, I guess.
Ew.
Move to the room next door for a few minutes because our attendant is making our bed.
The attendant makes the beds in all of the roomettes, a process that includes rearranging some of the seats, pulling down the bunk, and laying down the sheets. All in all, it takes him no more than a few minutes per roomette.
You guys are all set.
Thank you so much. All right, what does it look like?
No, just in case I fall off.
You taking the top bunk?
Yep.
Well, then I get the window.
Well, I can see a little bit.
While Lindsay was downstairs taking a shower, I took a first look at the bedding.
So basically, at least for the bottom bunk, it's just like a thin mattress that they put on top of the seats. But look, designed for Amtrak. And then I think the mattress on the top bunk is a little thicker. Now, one of the things that I was a little bit worried about when we first sat down in here was if the bed was going to be long enough. I'm exactly 6 foot. I'm going to try laying down for the first time now. It's perfect. There's more than enough room. And the mattress seems pretty comfortable too. I think we'll sleep good.
Then we switched, and it was my turn to shower.
So I got done taking a shower about 25 minutes ago. Now Tom is taking a shower. And it's actually really nice. It's quite a lot of pressure. It's pretty easy to figure out. Watched a few YouTube videos myself before going on this train to see what to expect. And it was great. Super easy. They have towels there, which is really nice. And also they have extra shampoo and like body wash and lotion and things if you forget that as well. So super accommodating. We went for the one that was downstairs just because it was a full shower instead of also having a toilet, just so that we didn't have to like set our stuff on the toilet because you never know. Yeah, it was a great experience. Didn't feel like I was in a train at all. It was kind of weird, but would recommend.
All right, so let's take a look at the facilities. It's small, but it seems pretty clean. They have towels, some soap if you need it, and then this is the shower area itself. You know, really not bad. And there's an instruction guide.
Using the mirror in the bedroom is actually easier to do skincare. Who would have thought?
I'm like taller than a shower head, so that's fun. Riding on the day of New Orleans. That was refreshing. It was a little hard to get the water warm, but the pressure was good. And this is really one of the plus sides of traveling in a sleeper accommodation. I mean, you know, I'll manage when I'm on coach and there's no shower, but especially if you're going out west, after 2 or 3 days, you get a little bit crusty. Although this was a very curvy section of track, I didn't really have any trouble standing up. It was pretty easy to keep your balance in there.
So this is what the blanket comes in. The attendant makes your bed with like the sheets and everything. I think they're already kind of on there, but this is what comes. It's like an Amtrak blanket. It's pretty nice. I'm gonna show you what mine looks like. This is Tom's. He hasn't put his on his bed yet. So I'm on the top bunk, which I have this little mesh situation for, I guess, things if I want to put them in there. I don't know. Can't go anywhere without my Toy Story alien. And yeah, this is what the bed looks like. It's pretty nice. Got my jacket hanging over there with my purse, with things that I need in case I need like more chapstick or I need to put my glasses away, things like that. But yeah, it's pretty nice. It's nice material. On the inside, it's more soft. So this is a little bit of a softer, more like quilt material, and then this is a little bit more like fuzzy, but it's nice. Definitely might steal this. Haha.
Is this your first time on a sleeper train too, right?
Yep.
Me too. I've slept on a train before in coach, but when I was living in Europe, like that was right when sleeper trains were going away. Like we thought that they would never come back, that they were like an ancient relic. And then when I moved to the States, all of a sudden sleeper trains everywhere. So I've actually never been in a sleeping accommodation before until now. All right, time to unbox the blanket. It's saran wrapped like a sandwich, so get ready for some squeaky ASMR.
Oh, I'm already getting goosebumps. Ugh.
They really did not need to.
I know.
Amtrak.
Next station stop, folks, roughly 20 minutes away. It's going to be Connellsville, PA. Conductor's attendants will come through to get you for this stop. It is Connellsville, PA, in about 22 minutes.
This seemed like a good time to call it a night. I think Lindsay fell asleep pretty quickly, but I had a little bit more trouble. I was almost asleep when we approached Pittsburgh. It felt like the train made an emergency stop. We braked very dramatically. I checked the map and we were just outside of Pittsburgh, right at the point where our train was supposed to switch from CSX to Norfolk Southern tracks. But when I checked Apple Maps, we weren't on the Capital Limited route anymore. So I checked another map and we were still on CSX trackage. A few minutes later, we started backing up, and we backed up all the way until we were back at the junction with Norfolk Southern. After a prolonged pause, we then continued onto the right tracks, the Norfolk Southern tracks, into Pittsburgh Penn Station. And I was confused. We braked really hard. Did we go down the wrong tracks? But if we did, would this be resolved so quickly? I don't know what happened, but it was definitely unusual. And a few minutes later, we arrived at Pittsburgh Penn Station.
Right as the clock strikes midnight, we make it to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Besides serving the Capital Limited, Pittsburgh also serves Amtrak's Pennsylvanian service, and passengers from New York and Philadelphia can use the Pennsylvanian to transfer to the Capital Limited.
Anyways, it's midnight, it's an early morning tomorrow, time to head back up to the room and call it a night.
The next morning, I open the curtains and we're in western Ohio, near the border with Indiana. Once we're sufficiently awake, I push the call button to ask our attendant for breakfast.
Yeah, can we get 2 orders of the buttermilk pancakes and an orange juice for both of us, please?
2 oranges. Is that it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So how'd you sleep?
It was okay. A little bumpy and rough upstairs, to be honest.
Is that why you joined me downstairs right after Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've actually had better nights in coach,
I was gonna say the same thing.
but
I mean, this train is so bumpy, and I don't know
especially
if that's just me being hyper aware, but like, this is one of the bumpiest trains I've ever been on.
especially once we entered Ohio.
Yeah, makes sense that I don't like Ohio.
Well, you're from Michigan, so.
Yeah, go blue.
Once we fell asleep, it was good, and then waking up and ordering breakfast in bed, it's nice. I have to admit. A stop in Elkhart, Indiana means that South Bend is coming up soon. And now it's back to seats for the last hour or so.
Yep. He said it's probably gonna arrive around 8:40 now.
Oh, so it's like half an hour.
Yeah. I wonder how they get here. You know?
Like 10 minutes away from South Bend, Indiana, which is where we're getting off today. Doesn't really feel like we've been on this train for 17 hours. Time flies when you're having fun. Time to say goodbye to our lovely roomette.
Watch your step.
Thank you so much.
Good day. Watch
You
your
too.
step.
All right, we've made it to Amtrak South Bend Station in Indiana. If you asked me if I ever thought I'd end a video here, I'd say probably not, but what a great ride that was. Capital Limited, it's a great train. You get some nice scenery in West Virginia and Maryland, and we had a pretty good night's sleep. Our sleeping car attendant, Nick, was such a nice guy. Really made the experience better. I got to chat with him a little bit towards the end.
So here's the deal. Getting a roomette when you book is generally a lot more expensive than coach. And while we enjoyed the experience, we both concluded that we would have been fine in coach. It would not have made much of a difference sleeping, and you'll get microwaved food whether you get it in the dining car or buy it in the cafe. That's not to say that there weren't any advantages. There were many. The privacy of a roomette, having someone make your bed, the ability to shower, lounge access. I didn't mind paying extra for it, but I don't really want to pay as much as the upfront cost for a roomette. Next time I take this train, I'll probably do the same thing as this time. Book a coach seat and then bid for an upgrade. Thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome. We have more trip reports and videos about public transportation from all over the world coming soon, and you won't want to miss it. See you next time.